This is the Ethanol Report, the industry podcast from the Renewable Fuels Association since 2008. I'm Cindy Zimmerman. Work in the nation's capital on behalf of ethanol is a constant effort for the Renewable Fuels Association, and this year they hired a new hand to help out in Washington, D.C. So I decided to get to know her just a little bit. So first of all, Ashley, what I'd like you to do is just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do for RFA.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Vigilone, and I'm the Government Affairs Associate for RFA here in the DC office. In this role, I help manage the RFA PAC, everything from tracking contributions to coordinating our fundraising efforts throughout the year. And I also support our DC government affairs team with whatever helps keep things moving. That might be scheduling meetings, putting together materials, helping with coalition outreach, or prepping for board meetings. And honestly, no 2 days look the same, but that variety in my work is one of the things I actually really enjoy about my job. Um, I've been in this role for about 5 months now, but my connection to RFA actually started a while back. Um, I interned here in the summers before my junior and senior years of college. So getting to come back here and work full time was really exciting. And honestly, I couldn't enjoy working with this team more. I mean, just the level of expertise in all areas of the industry is so impressive. And every person just truly believes in what ethanol can do. And that passion just really shows up in the way they work. And it's so inspiring. And getting to learn from that every day is something that I'm really grateful for.
Well, what's your background? What drew you to work to just start interning there to begin with?
Well, first of all, I graduated from Denison University in 2024, and I got my degree in communications and environmental studies, along with a concentration in sustainable design. Um, then after college, I actually took a gap year that ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made. Um, I moved to Madrid, Spain, and I taught English. And I spent some time traveling around Europe before I came back and joined RFA full time. Um, and during that year, it really kind of gave me some perspective, and I gained a lot of new skills. And I've been able to carry those skills with me into my professional career. But I'd say, as for what drew me to the ethanol industry, I would say it really started with my academic background. I studied environmental issues and sustainability, and it kind of shaped how I think about energy and agriculture and even climate solutions. So I knew early on that I wanted to work for an organization or an industry that genuinely prioritizes sustainability rather than just talking the talk. So that's what initially really interested me in ethanol. It's a cleaner, homegrown fuel option, and it has the potential to make a real impact. But what really solidified that aspect for me was I actually got to see the innovation up close. Last fall, I got a tour Sire, which is one of our member plants, and I was genuinely so blown away by their technologies that they're using to lower their carbon intensity. And just kind of seeing those efforts firsthand made it clear that the industry isn't just participating in sustainability, it's actively pushing it forward, which is so important to me. Um, and then another big part of what drew me in was just the mission behind the work. I've always known I wanted to be in a field where I could help people and feel like what I'm doing really matters. So, working in government affairs kind of gives me that opportunity to be a part of shaping policy and supporting people at the core of this industry, like farmers. And they really just truly keep our country running. So being able to uplift those voices and help advocate for them feels extremely meaningful to me. All of that made ethanol and RFA specifically feel like the perfect place to start my career. And like I said before, I couldn't be more grateful to be here in this position.
Well, that's really interesting because I would say the majority of the people in this industry have a farm background. They grew up on the farm. They know corn farmers. They got into the ethanol industry at the ground level. So it's really interesting to see someone with your background looking at the technical, the scientific, and the environmental aspects of the industry. That's unique. I like that. Well, one of the things that you did recently was you attended the Global Ethanol Summit and you wrote a blog post about some of your takeaways from that event. You seem to be really impressed with it. And with your background, especially being spending time in Europe, weave that all together and how you were able to come up with some of the impressions and what you learned there.
Attending the Global Ethanol Summit was a really big moment for me, especially since I'm fairly new to the renewable fuels world. Um, I honestly had no idea what to expect going in, but the experience really helped connect a lot of dots for me. Um, so much so that I wrote a blog post about it. Um, what stood out right away was just how global this industry really is. You walk into a room with people from more than 40 different countries, all talking about how they're using ethanol or how they want to expand their use of it, and it really shifts your perspective. Um, Before the summit, I kind of thought of ethanol pretty narrowly, mostly in terms of what we deal with here in the US. But listening to all these different viewpoints really helped me understand how many challenges ethanol is helping solve around the world. And I think Jeff Cooper said it best, ethanol solves problems. Um, One moment that really stuck with me was hearing from folks who are using ethanol as a clean cooking fuel. That's something I genuinely never really considered. Just hearing how switching to ethanol has helped reduce air pollution in homes and has really helped improve day-to-day health, which is incredibly moving. It made me realize that ethanol is bigger than the little sticker you see on the gas pump while you're filling up your car. It's actually improving people's life in a very direct and personal way, which was so cool to hear about. And then I also had the chance to sit in on meetings with delegations who are looking to move beyond their low ethanol blends. And they were asking some really great questions. They were curious about what's worked in other countries, and they were eager to just build some new partnerships. So seeing that level of enthusiasm from industry leaders overseas showed me how much room there is for growth, but it also highlighted the drive that this industry has. And it also just made the whole global market piece feel very real. And then another big takeaway for me was understanding how connected our industry is, from farmers to plant operators to scientists to policymakers and international stakeholders. When you see all those groups in one place, you really start to appreciate that ethanol isn't just a fuel. It's a whole ecosystem, and every person and every part of it really matters. So, overall, the summit made me feel like I was a part of something that's bigger than my small day to day tasks. And just the passion people have for this work, it's contagious. And so seeing the innovation that's happening around the world gave me this sense of excitement about where the industry is heading. Um, so for me, GES wasn't just an event, it was really a major learning experience and just a reminder that ethanol is a global solution and it has a lot of momentum behind it. So yeah, that's what I walked away with.
Interesting. Well, you're very young. I'm sure you run in circles other than ethanol circles, and in your time in college, as well as now, you must run into people who have misinformation about ethanol. And if you tell them you work for the ethanol industry, what kind of response, what kind of reactions do you get from people, and what are your opportunities to clear up misinformation that other people that you know might have?
Yeah, I think the big one is the food versus fuel argument. So to that, I just want to say, like, I heard a really interesting talk during GES where they kind of just talked about how the ethanol process is just this process of capturing and storing carbon from the atmosphere. And that ethanol production builds on that natural cycle by turning the starch into clean fuel. And that remaining bit of corn turns into protein and fiber, and it becomes distiller grains, which are really nutrient rich feed that helps support global food security. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception. So it was really neat to kind of hear that perspective and just see it in a new way.
Well, while you're right there in DC, and obviously that's where everything happens, what do you see as the priorities for RFA in the coming year that are going to be keeping you busy in DC?
Yeah, great question. 2026 is shaping up to be a huge year for us. Our number one priority is getting year-round E15 across the finish line. It's been a major undertaking for the entire team, and we're all very committed to seeing it through. Securing year-round access would make such a meaningful difference, not just for the industry, but for all the consumers that would be saving so much money at the pump all around the US. Beyond that, we have a lot of important work ahead of us. We're continuing to navigate evolving tax credits and trade policies. There's a lot happening in that space right now, especially with this administration, but staying on top of it is a big part of what we do. We're also looking forward to exploring new and emerging markets. The potential for ethanol to expand into new areas is incredibly exciting. It just feels like there's this sense of momentum right now. Um, and 2026 feels like a year where we can really push forward and build on it. So, yeah, a lot on our plates, but honestly, in the best way. And it's going to be a busy year, but we're really excited to take it all on.
Well, how has 2025 been for the ethanol industry in your perspective in the last 5 months? Some pretty significant things have happened in the industry just since you've been at RFA with what's happened in California as well as the increased exports which you witnessed at GS.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been here 5 months and I've already seen so much happening. I think the craziest event that happened was E15 in California. That was huge. That was something a lot of people thought would never happen. Being able to witness that firsthand with the guys here was really, really cool. And it was really impressive that we helped lead that. So yeah, it's been a great 5 months. Lots has been happening, and I'm excited for 2026.
Well, lastly, what you mentioned it a couple of times. You've gotten to meet the people, the producers, the farmers that are involved in the industry, that your board members. What do you think about them?
Oh my gosh. It is so neat to meet all these producers and farmers and just kind of hear about what their day-to-day looks like. It's so different from mine, and they're really just the heart of America, I feel like. So getting to hear their experiences and what they do is so cool, and it makes me even prouder to advocate for them. So yeah, it's been really awesome.
All right, thanks very much. That's Ashley Vigilone in the DC office of the Renewable Fuels Association. And if you want to find out a little more about what RFA does in the nation's capital on behalf of the ethanol industry, you can check out their website at ethanolrfa.org. And that's it for this edition of the Ethanol Report. Thanks for listening.